Today is basically the calm before the storm for the Nintendo Switch 2. We're 2 days away from the Switch 2 being in most of our hands that we're able to get pre-orders or walk in on day one on June 5th and make a purchase. And look, things are ramping up a little bit. We have some big stories today dealing with the actual CEO of Nvidia coming out and talking about the Switch 2 publicly. We also have some stories going on with a little bit of more gameplay from Mario Kart World, probably the last time we're going to feature new gameplay from Mario Kart World before launch. And more than that, we have an update on the pre-order situation regarding the Nintendo Switch 2. Beyond that, I want to remind you guys that, yes, we are going to have to redo our Nintendo Switch 2 giveaway we did last night. The winner is unfortunately disqualified, so we are rerunning that giveaway again tonight, same way we did it last night. So I'll see you guys at 8 p.m. Central Time. We're also giving away 5 copies of Donkey Kong Bonanza, so that's always really exciting. So I hope you're looking forward to that. You can enter down in the pinned comment or the link in the description. And without further ado, let's just dive into the news. So first up, the Nvidia CEO says Nintendo Switch 2 has the most advanced graphics ever in a mobile device. There was a video put out here by Jensen Huang with a creator's voice over on Nintendo. And it says Nintendo's uploaded the latest creator voice video, and this time it features Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang. Mr. Huang talks about the Satoru Iwata legacy when it comes down to the innovation of the original Switch console and how the upcoming Switch 2 console pushes the boundaries of mobile technology, stating that Nintendo Switch 2 is the most advanced graphics ever in a mobile device. That's pretty much the gist of this video, having watched it myself. I gotta be honest, there's not like a lot of new stuff in there, but he did his best like Reggie Fils-Aimé impression, which was pretty cool. It showed a lot of respect to the late Iwata and obviously Nintendo on the whole. And is it really the most impressive mobile graphics ever? I don't know. Obviously, he's saying that is, but he says a lot of things. Some people would argue that some of those handheld PCs are probably a bit more, but hey, whatever. This is what the CEO of Nvidia is saying, and they're supposed to make the thing sound really good. So take that for what you will. I don't know. I haven't played one. I'll be playing one on June 5th. That being said, we have a really old rumor kind of rearing its head back around that deals with Fire Emblem and Genealogy of the Holy War. Remember how that was a remake, remaster supposedly in the work with no idea when it was actually coming out? Well, the famed insider Nate Drake, aka Nate the Hate, has come out to reaffirm that it is happening. So, over on the Gaming Leaks subreddit, Nate Drake reaffirms that, to his knowledge, the long-rumored Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War remake is indeed a thing, and a remake is the key word there. This is the second time that Nate clarified about the Fire Emblem 4 remake this year, as he previously mentioned that the game was finished as a Switch 1 title with, to his knowledge, fall of 2023, no Switch 2 version in the works. Now, that was back in fall of 2023. I would assume by now they probably decided to, have a Switch 2 edition, at least bare minimum. Of course, it's entirely possible that Nintendo had Intelligent Systems take the game back into development to make a Switch 2 edition, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. And Nate never specified if the original reporting of FE4R being Switch 1 only is still the case now, so it's up for debate. And you might go, okay, well, where did he say this? Well, he said this over on Reset Era. You see right here, he chimes in, feel free to not answer this, but it's still Nintendo related as far as you know. Does the Fire Emblem 4 remake still exist? To my knowledge, yes. So again, at this point, if it was finished back in 2023, you would assume, well, the reason they didn't release it since then is they decided, hey, we're going to flip this over, make this sort of a late Switch 1 game with a Switch 2 edition. Could make a lot of sense. Also, maybe they wanted to put some extra work in for the Switch 2 edition. There's a lot of reports out there that Nintendo is sitting on actually quite a few games, and that's been said over the last couple of years. I think when we get to the next upcoming Direct and the Direct after that, it's going to bear fruit that Nintendo has a lot of games ready to go, and that's going to make the start of the Switch 2 generation very exciting. Now, one report that we had earlier this month, or I guess it wasn't earlier this month, it was May. I guess we're in June now, right? We have to think about the fact that Nintendo is not offering review units, and we now have some confirmation that no, Nintendo didn't give outlets review units this week. It's official. There's no Nintendo Switch 2 reviews. Here's what that means for us and you. Nintendo's decision not to facilitate pre-launch Switch 2 reviews is disappointing news for everyone. This is from Andy Robinson over at Video Game Chronicle. So it says, according to a company spokesperson, Nintendo decided not to send Nintendo Switch 2 review units to press ahead of launch because important features and updates will only be available via a system update on the day of the console's official release on June 5th. It did not say what these updates entail, we know one of them is the micro SD Express, and now because of leaks, we now know one of them is also Switch 1 backwards compatibility. Anyways, it didn't explain why the media wasn't offered the opportunity to review its launch games like Mario Kart World and Switch 2 Welcome Tour at in-person events instead, like it did with previous console launches such as Wii. Neither did it explain why critics can't be trusted to cover products with knowledge that additional functionality will be patched later, as they're frequently used to. How and when game creators decide to distribute their review products is, of course, their prerogative, and the media has no right to early samples. I am glad that Andy Robinson clarifies this, that it's not a right to get early access. Now, game coverage has also changed drastically over the past decade, with more priority given to the post-release coverage of today's increasingly complex video games. But a lack of coverage at or before release is bad for you, our readers. When Switch 2 arrives, there will have been no reviews of its software, no analysis of its hardware performance or battery life, or any testing of its key features, such as game chat or how backwards compatible Switch 1 games perform. No hidden gems will be unearthed, no potential dodgy ports highlighted before you have a chance of spending your hard-earned money. And when reviews do arrive, well after launch day, many critics will have been incentivized to rush through their games as quickly as possible, with Google and social media rewarding speed over quality. For Nintendo, this won't matter. Its launch allocation to Switch 2 consoles will almost certainly sell out to early adopters who are not concerned with the critical consensus as they might have been in years past. Publications like Video Game Chronicle will continue to cover the console anyway after Switch 2 goes on sale. For the media, of course, it's disappointing. It's a tough time for all independent publications, which is why we're increasingly calling for readers to support us via Patreon. And with GTA 6 and pre-launch Switch 2 review coverage now off the table, 2025 just got a bit tougher for everybody. A little bit of an exaggeration there, but it also means that, like other sites, including the very biggest, we'll now need to juggle our Switch 2 review coverage with one of the biggest events of the year, Summer Game Fest, which takes place during this launch weekend, which Nintendo will have been well aware of. But it's not just the media that misses out. More than 20 Switch 2 launch games from third parties have now effectively been prevented from generating any day one review coverage for their titles. Many publishers have reached out to sites like Video Game Chronicle asking for clarification around when press would receive review units, and some even said they wish they'd chosen to release their games later after it became clear they would not be able to secure authentic editorial coverage at all. Perhaps it really was a technical nightmare for Nintendo to provide a pre-launch review access to press. We're already seeing, for example, that those that have somehow gained access to the console pre-launch cannot use them at all, which is actually untrue. This is what I mean, that like, this article came out today. We now know today that no, you can use it. You just can't use it with Switch 1 games. Anyways, I don't personally believe the decision to hold back reviews comes from the lack of confidence in its launch lineup either. My recent time playing Mario Kart World at the Switch 2 Welcome Tour at Nintendo UK's office was great fun and had me excited to spend more time with the games. But consoles have launched with day one patches for over a decade, and the media are used to covering unfinished products. So in my opinion, this decision is more likely related to Nintendo's paranoia around leaks, as it is with any missing functionality before launch day. Those leaked videos of early consoles that can't run games certainly strengthen the hypothesis, although there's also leaked videos of it running games. So, yeah, it's a bad look. History tells us. On the flip side, Bethesda briefly implemented a no pre-release review policy a decade ago. Look, in the end, media is going to complain that their job got harder and that they don't have day one stuff. And I will say for consumers, yes, it is a negative for some. Very few, but for some consumers, that there's not going to be day one reviews and day one coverage before you spend your money. Reviews are an important part of helping people determine if their money should be spent. It's also true, nobody has to buy the damn thing day one, and they can wait till the reviews come out to make those decisions. If you're somebody waiting for review coverage to make a purchasing decision, you're just going to wait for the review coverage. You don't have to have it day one. So I don't really think it's going to be that negative for consumers to get review coverage later. It also puts the big media on the same ground as the smaller media here on YouTube. So in the end, it obviously is beneficial for YouTubers, and you can argue I'm a bias on this here, but I don't review things. I'm on a review channel, so it doesn't really matter to me. It actually creates less coverage for me because there's not review coverage for me to cover. So actually for me as a news channel, it negatively impacts me because I can't cover reviews. There's not going to be like a giant review roundup on day one of the Metascore and all this stuff. So yeah, it actually does negatively impact me, but I don't care. And I don't care because honestly, it's going to be in the hands of consumers, and we're going to ultimately determine if it's worth owning. So again, I get why they're upset, and I do think Nintendo should have gave them like a week with it, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? Wine over spilt milk? people have been upset at the media, and this is just another thing people are going to get upset at the media about. We go to this next one here. We see these images of Union Square. Nintendo really took over this GameStop, and there might be other GameStops like this. It's pretty crazy if you look at this. Look at it. Even the floor has like the map from Mario Kart World. They changed the lights on the ceiling. Look at the walls. Everything is Mario Kart World themed in this GameStop. And I'm sure there's other GameStops that have gone all out like this. My GameStop didn't go all out like this, but still, it's pretty cool just to see Nintendo really, like, their marketing budget behind this is massive, which is no surprise because it's the launch of a new console. Now, next up, we have some new footage of Mario Kart World versus race gameplay. So I wanted to show this to you guys. It's 2 minutes long, and we're going to go ahead and full screen this and make sure that we're at the top resolution at 1080p is the top one on X. And here we go. We're going to, it's unmuted. Let's go ahead and rewind this and play it for you guys. All right, there you go. As you see, that footage came from Shaq News. Pretty cool stuff there. Again, just another look at Mario Kart World. One last look because, again, tomorrow we probably won't be covering any footage because some people will literally just have their systems early and be playing. Now, speaking of getting systems early and playing, how about getting systems on time? We talked yesterday about how a bunch of people had their Mario Kart World, their bundles, their Nintendo Switch stuff canceled by Walmart due to payment issues and glitches in the system. And it turns out Walmart is trying to make right by those customers, but it's not necessarily going smooth for everybody. So we're going to go over to Jake Randall, our pre-order extraordinaire, and he says, Walmart is reinstating canceled Switch 2 pre-orders. Check your card on Walmart account. If your order was canceled, you will see a new Switch 2 marked as single use. You may repurchase it to have your order back. If you do not see it, keep checking tonight and tomorrow. And you'll see a look at what this looks like. So this is what it looks like. Remember, they just started doing this, so be patient. So this is how it appears. A single-use restricted customer reconciliation for your pre-order, release date on June 5th. Now, the problem is, and I've had a number of people send this in to me, they're upset not that they got this restricted thing, like, hey, we're trying to make it up to you. Here you go get it. Actually, some people aren't able to get it till June 7th, June 9th. I've seen June 12th listed. There are people upset about this because they pre-ordered for day one, and now people are being told with some of these reconciliation orders, this thing right here, they call it a reconciliation, that hey, you're not going to get it day one, even though your pre-order was for day one. That is going to upset people. I know a lot of people that took this, but they're still going to go try to get it on day one because, hello, that's what they wanted. That's why they pre-ordered, to get it day one, not to get it like a week later. So, yeah, I understand some people are pretty upset. This whole situation is pretty scummy. We know Walmart's been screwing around. Walmart has now charged me 4 times for my Nintendo Switch 2, so they owe me some money. Look, I get it. This is very frustrating. I'm frustrated. You're frustrated. I'm going to tell you, we're all kind of frustrated with Walmart right now in particular. But at least they're trying their best to make up for it. And some of you were able to use these coupons and still get it day one, but some of you not. Some of you a week later. Sucks. I hate when retailers screw around. It is what it is. I don't work for Walmart, so I can't, I'm not here to explain any more than what we have explained publicly here with this example by Jake Randall. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it, man. I'll see a lot of you guys tonight as we do a new giveaway for that Nintendo Switch 2 that got voided yesterday. It's going to be a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun last night. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. I'll catch all of you guys there. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow for a new video. And yes, a live stream tomorrow to pick up my Switch 2. Oh, it's going to be exciting. Catch you guys later.